Welcome to Relax and Chat, episode 49. Today we have Kevin Rodgers, co-author of the Legacy of the Round Table Fantasy Trilogy. How you doing today, Kevin?
Doing great, thanks. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Another busy day.
They all are. The day of the
Yeah,
week
they
that ends in
are.
Y, it's usually a pretty busy day.
Well, I'm really eager to hear about your books, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into the questions. Uh, to begin with, I'd love to hear a little bit about Mason Gideon and the Caves of Fate.
Yeah. So Mason Gideon and the Caves of Fate, right here. Got that. It's book one in the Legacy of the Round Table series, and it is my first book. It was not my writing partner's first book. She's done some other adult books under a different name. But it was my first book, and it is a story of Mason. That's why he's in the title. And he, on his 13th birthday, discovers that he has magic, and is sent on a journey to retrieve Excalibur. It turns out he is King Arthur's son, who Merlin sent forward in time to protect him after King Arthur died. And so he has a quest to try and find Excalibur, and his best friend and other friends join along the way. And they meet heroes and villains of Arthurian legend and in a kind of contemporary setting.
Oh, it sounds fantastic because I'm a huge fan of King Arthur. The whole story. There's a movie, it's called Excalibur. I think it came out in the very early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best rendition of the story I've ever seen. Huge fan, huge.
Yeah, I am too. And one of the things that started me down this process was there are so many King Arthur stories. There are so many, Camelot and whatever. But nobody ever talks about what happens afterwards. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what started this for me is what would have happened if he had a son that he didn't know about because, he died in the battle and stuff like that. And, we kind of take it over from there.
Yeah, sounds great. I love that kind of creativity. What if? I love that.
Yeah.
So there's also a second book. It's Mason Gideon and the Glass Tower.
Yeah.
Perhaps you could tell us a bit about that.
There's that one right there. That is the second in the trilogy, and it takes place about 6 months after the events of the first. And Mason is put under a lot of pressure from an external force that is causing him to go on another adventure. And so his friends join him again, and they have to work together to they have to work together to solve some riddles to figure out where they're supposed to be, and then once they get there, which is Stonehenge, which you can tell from the cover there, they actually enter into a completely different world. They're transported somewhere else where they have to try and fight their way through it to get out. Again, meeting more Arthurian legend and characters from the future, from the past.
Oh, sounds great. Sounds fantastic. Now, this is a trilogy, so there's a third book in it. I'm assuming that's a work in progress. Do you have a title and a planned release date?
Yeah, it's Mason Gideon and the Heart of Avalon, and it is hopefully going to be released at the end of the year. We are in the editing process. The first couple drafts of it are done. We're doing another pass before we send it off to our readers and then to the editor and stuff like that. We're hoping with a little luck that by the end of the year it will be done. It's taking us a little longer than we would have liked because, for us, this isn't our full-time job.
Uh,
We have full-time jobs. My partner and I are both parents, and they've that always stuff comes first, and so we're doing this is when we have time to get things done. And unfortunately, these last few months have been too much real life, and it's kind of slowed down the process from what it had been previously. So the plan though is to try and get it out late this year, if not very early next year.
oh, yeah, it's a good plan. Don't let yourself get too choked up on deadlines. I don't use them at all. And RDG Books Press, my company, we don't do deadlines because they just aggravate the heck out of you and they almost never get met. Because, like you said, life happens. And let's see, looked up, I always do a little research on every guest just to have some idea who I'm speaking with. And I found that you co-wrote this series with Rachel Green, and Amazon lists the genre as fantasy children's folk tales. And I'm curious, which of you decided that would be the genre and why, as opposed to an adult fantasy or horror or some other genre.
Well, I don't know that either one of us really decided. It was kind of the book decided it. I mean, it was a book about kids, and they're 13, so putting them in a serious horror situation was probably not something that I would have really wanted to do, and neither would her. We wanted to write a kind of a middle grade
Hmm.
temporary fantasy book. So really, it was the book that decided it. We just kind of were along for the ride, and we went through the Amazon categories, and we're like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes the most sense, and um, it wouldn't have made sense as a mystery or like a whodunit or even a thriller or anything like that. It kind of lended itself because of the Arthurian nature and all the fantastical beasts and all that other good stuff. It kind of lended itself to contemporary fantasy, and so like I said, they kind of did that work for us. We just kind of followed along the stream.
Well, like I said, I was looking around on Amazon, and it appears that the target reader would be early teens, maybe even a little before that.
Yeah, we would say anything starting at fourth grade and up, really. I mean, even if you're younger than that, you can read it. It's just
Uh-huh.
there are parts that get a little scary. It's a little action and adventure.
Mhm.
Kind of like a Raiders of the Lost Ark thing, right?
Uh-huh.
Anybody can watch it, but there might be some parts that are a little scary.
Yeah. Well, when I read the descriptions, the metadata on both of the stories, it immediately hit me that while the target audience may be young, an adult could very much enjoy this story. I mean, it really sounded very interesting, and if you're a fan of King Arthur at all, it wouldn't matter what your age is. Uh, would you agree with, and also in the first two, have you found that you've had some adult readers that really got into the story?
Yeah, when we're doing this, I like to read those style of books too. So I wanted to, and Rachel did as well. We wanted to have it where anyone can read it and find some level of enjoyment. I mean, we both, like I said, we both have kids, so the best things that we enjoy with our kids are the stuff that we can enjoy and aren't like, oh my god, why am I watching this or why am I reading this? This is making my brain numb. We wanted them to be engaged. We wanted things that work on different levels, and uh, so yeah, it was absolutely important to us that everybody who read it could enjoy it. If
Oh.
they, in terms of, I'm sorry, what was the second half of that question? Oh, adult readers. Yeah, yes, I've talked to some a lot of the adults that have reached out and things like that have said that they enjoy reading it with their kids. They again hit the exactly what we were going for. Was it wasn't like I was just reading to my kid and by the end of it I'm like, oh my god, and close the book. It was, yeah, I enjoyed it, and be like, what, you're sleeping? Damn, I wanted to read another chapter.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
that's
know?
fantastic when you can hit that target. Something that comes to mind is The Hobbit.
Mhm.
Uh, what's
Sure.
that J.K. Rowling's one?
Harry Potter ones.
Harry Potter. Uh, Adults and kids alike, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they're very popular stories,
Yeah.
and so when you can successfully pull that off, which that's not an easy thing to do, when
Right.
you can do that, oh, kudos, fantastic, because you're gonna have a wider audience, and what's more important, you're going to have a future audience. These kids that are hearing these stories now are going to grow up and they're going to be fans of your work, and that's awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah, knock on wood. That's the dream, right? Hook 'em young.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. So I want to move on to the next segment of the show because it's very interesting. I always enjoy this part. I'm the host. I try to keep the show going, ask a few questions, but I love to give the author an opportunity to speak directly to the audience. And I don't censor. You can share anything you like with the audience. It can be advice or about some of the products that you produce or your books or anything on your mind. You can share it with the audience. So if you'd like to, the stage is yours.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, first of all, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm really happy to be here. And I guess really, I don't have a ton of stuff. Just what we try and do is just bring a little happiness into the world. I also design board games, and that's kind of the thing that my collaborators and I on the board game side like to do as well. We just want to find a way to get people around a table and have some fun. And this, you can crack open a book and shut out the rest of the world and just kind of enjoy it and get lost in the story. That's pretty great, and that's something that I'm excited about, and that's something I'm happy to try and help. Um, as for advice, the only advice I can give anybody, if there's someone who wants to write or wants to do it, just do it. Write the book. The world wants to hear your story. You've got something to say. Put it out there. Keep working on it a little bit every day, and I can't wait to read it.
Oh, fantastic. I love hearing that you not only write these wonderful books, but you also create board games.
Mhm.
And, in this day and age, particularly kids in that age group and older, spend so much time on silly video games. And, it's like you used to see 12 kids riding down the street on a bicycle. You don't see that anymore. You know, uh, sit, stare, and play, gaining weight every day, losing brain power. You can tell I'm not a big fan of video games. And the reason is when I was young, I had an Atari 2600.
Oh yes.
And it's a quick example. Sat down, started playing games, got up 6 hours later and realized I had accomplished absolutely nothing. And I realized it was a time killer and wasted time. And, there's people that love video games, and I don't mean to knock them, but I love that you're creating. I hope it can make a strong comeback. Good stories that a family could read together. Board games. I used to love board games. They were fantastic. Now in my old age, the only one I play is chess, but I used to play them all. Shoots and ladders and Scrabble and any of them. I mean, loved them. And it's fantastic that you're kind of bringing them back. And I hope you have super great success with that. You know,
Thanks.
yeah, that's
It's a
super.
ginormous industry. There's still a huge market out there for people who want to play board games and things like
Yeah,
that. So if we can again get the kids involved and get family cooperative kind of games, that's what we try and do and have
yeah.
fun with it.
Yeah, because the American family has been dying for a long time, and a part of that is they don't spend any time together. And, a really good book and a really fun board game, that can make a big difference. So I salute you. I think you're doing something really wonderful, for now and for the future. And I wish you all the very best of luck.
Appreciate it.
Um, the next segment of the show is I like to ask if you would. I put the relevant links down in the description on the YouTube video. But I share this across my entire platform, and a lot of the other sites, you can't see the description.
Hmm.
So I'd like to ask you, if you would, verbally, to share your website, any social media that you have, where someone could reach out and ask you about your books and your board games. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, the website that we have for our books is stolennightpublishing.com, night with a K. That is currently being updated this month, so it may be different if you check it today as opposed if you check it at the end of the month. Um, but otherwise, I'm on just about everything except for Threads, which I haven't gotten on yet. So TikTok, I'm at Kevin L. Rodgers. It's RODGERS 4. Same thing with Instagram. Facebook, I'm on there as Kevin Rodgers, author, board game designer. Twitter X, whatever that is. And Blue Sky is at KL Rogers 4. And then Goodreads is just me. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. I mean, I said earlier in the show that particularly with having readers, additional eyes on your work and a real editor, and I didn't hear the word AI anywhere. Uh, you're doing everything right, and I'm going to add to that with these wonderful different ways that people can reach you. One thing new authors really miss is if you want to be if you want to put a book on your bookshelf, you can do that. That's not a problem. But if you're looking for either financial or fame, some kind of success like that, you've got to put yourself out there. If they don't know you exist, they're not going to buy your books, or your board games, and you're on all these social medias, you got your own website, coming on shows like this. You're doing everything right. I mean, man, you and your co-author, do a little celebration, be proud of what you're doing because I'm very, very impressed with everything I've heard. Super awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, we understand that we're probably never going to be able to write this, you know, because we've got 13 more books planned for this overarching series. This is the last of the Mason Gideon ones that we're working on now, but there are going to be other characters and other adventures and things like that. So we've got them all planned. We realize that we're probably not going to be able to do this full time. We also realize that, you know, we're not going to get rich off this. But if the book gets in the right person's hand and they rediscover a love of reading, or they fall in love with a character and then can share it with their family and their kids and, you know, stuff like that, that's really all we're looking to do. Just make those kind of connections, because it's the connections that move the world and keep the world together.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do. But yeah, I appreciate all your kind words. Thank you very much.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm a writer and very proud of the two books I've published. I don't make a lot of money off of them, you know. I'm a full service professional editor,
Mm.
and I've got a lot of praise, a lot of good testimonials and things like that. Again, I don't make a lot of money. Most of my clients are new writers and they don't have super deep pockets. You know,
Right.
some of these editors get $2,000 and more to edit a book, and that's great if all your clients are in New York and they're all rich. Most of my clients, you know, they're like me. They're, you know, everyday guys. It's got a little money, but not a whole lot, you know. And then,
Yeah.
you know, I'm CEO of RDG Books Press. Most of the books I publish are written by new authors. You know, same thing as the editing, you know. I'll tell you the truth, it ain't about the money, and I don't think it ever should be for anyone in the creative arts. The big thing for me, and I think you're already doing it, is to make a difference. You know,
Yeah.
make a difference in the world. I'm a big fan of the human element of the creative arts, human beings. I don't like the Tin Man. It's very well known. AI, I'm not a fan of that. Not in the creative arts. It's got its place elsewhere, but not there.
Yep.
And but yeah, I mean, I hope that you and I both, years after we're gone, your books are still selling, my press is still running, and we're making a difference in the world. You know, I think that's the best goal. And I suppose you get that thought when you get a little older, but that's a great thought. You know, let's make a real difference. Let's give kids something really awesome to read, and even better, something their parents can read to them for generations to come. Fantastic goal. You
Yeah.
know, I'm trying to make sure that new authors have a legitimate way to start their careers. Seasoned authors can enhance their careers with my press. And I want that to continue long after I'm gone, you know,
Sure.
to make a difference. I think that's the greatest goal we can have. What do you
Yeah.
think?
A little bit every day, right? People change people. People help people.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, this is usually this show does go by pretty quick. Uh, and I'm kind of glad everybody's so busy. You've got a lot of other things to do, and so do I. But I wish we had a little more time because it's really fascinating. Maybe you could come back on another time and we could talk about all your board games and what they are. What do they
Yeah.
resemble? You know, stuff like that. That would be
Anytime.
a fun,
Happy to come back and have a chat.
yeah, that would be a fun show to explore the board games that you produce. That's interesting. I'd like to find out more about it. So yeah, we'll chat on Twitter or wherever, and when our schedules can match up, let's maybe do a show on that. That would be fun.
Yeah, sounds great.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm afraid today's episode, episode 49 of Relax and Chat, must come to an end. Kevin, an absolute joy to meet you. I
You too.
really
Thanks for having
enjoyed
me.
it. Very fascinating. The books sound great. I am very interested in the board games. That's neat. I don't know anybody that can make a board game. That's cool.
I didn't either until my friend created his. I didn't know that was something a person did. I just thought it was, oh, Mattel just makes them. They just pop out into existence, you know, poof, poof, poof. But my friend, the one who, you know, I collaborate with, he started it. He designed a game and sold it and introduced me to a whole new universe that I didn't even know existed, and it was pretty awesome. So
Yeah, we really should do a show that focuses on your board game business. That sounds so cool. Um, I do this all the time. I say I have to leave, and then I take it right to the last minute because I really do. I really enjoy these chats. I hate to bring them to an end, but I use a free program that'll just black out. And I wouldn't be that rude to you or the audience. So I'm going to force myself to bring this show to an end. Great pleasure to meet you, sir.
you
Really.
too.
Ladies and gentlemen, episode 49, this time really is coming to an end. Thank you for viewing, and I sure hope I'll see you in the next show. Bye-bye, everybody.